And today, he was forced to travel to the crime-ridden dump that is Fulton County, Georgia, and surrender himself to Fani Willis, a mindless stooge for the D.C. machine. The establishment's bid to destroy the populism that threatens the system they've rigged for themselves continues. Giuliani's charges are very thick with irony, charged with violating an act that he used to clean up the Southern District of New York, an act he used to improve the lives of millions of people. RICO. His crime? Acting as an attorney for the President of the United States contesting a very questionable election. An election where the rules were changed last minute illegally, where a billionaire was allowed to inject $400 million into harvesting almost exclusively Democrat ballots, where states mailed ballots out far and wide and then took weeks to count them, where the Department of Justice forced social media companies to cover up Joe Biden's corruption. That election. Before Giuliani left Manhattan today, he spoke to the press and delivered one of the best responses to this ridiculous moment that you could possibly ask for.
I'm feeling very, very good about it because I feel like I'm defending the rights of all Americans, as I did so many times as a United States attorney. People like to say I'm different. I'm the same Rudy Giuliani that took down the mafia, that made New York City the safest city in America, reduced crime more than any mayor in the history of any city, anywhere. And I'm fighting for justice. I have been from the first moment. I represented Donald Trump.
It's the same guy, the same Rudy Giuliani we all remember, portrayed now as a crazy right-wing zealot, a process that began while Trump was president, based on a premise that is completely debunked. Remember what they said about the mayor as he was revealing Hunter's laptop and the corruption in Ukraine. All the work that Giuliani did in Ukraine has now been completely validated as we discover just how corrupt our sitting president is. But at the time, Giuliani was eviscerated for trying to show Americans who Joe Biden really is, as Democrats and the media were propping him up to replace Donald Trump.
What an utter disgrace and embarrassment Rudy Giuliani has become for the exact reasons you say, a man who has lost his moral compass and really forgotten all those things that I call the prosecutor's code in the book.
I think Rudy has done himself a disservice and his legacy a disservice by being so all in on this.
One of Giuliani's main sources would later be called by the Treasury Department an active Russian agent for the last decade.
Now, the Trump campaign has put one man in charge of its election stealing efforts, the jack of all trades, the hero of the Battle of the Four Seasons total landscaping, the star of the new Borat movie, Donald Trump's impeachment bagman, America's mayor, you know him, you love him, the Rootster.
Those people want you to take them seriously. They were dead wrong and lying then, and the same is happening now. They are enraged at anyone who questions the last election because they're so insecure about it. It's pretty standard stuff. But rest fully assured, had they lost in 2020, their behavior would have been far, far worse, and that's the truth. The Democrats have a history of alleging that elections are rigged, that the system is rigged, especially when they don't win. The DOJ never minded before. Never before have we seen the machine drop the hammer like this, screaming in unison about threats to democracy, reading from the same card all together. They sound like Russia's politicians and Putin's media, all in coordination, all in unison. It's terrifying because it's so clearly manipulated. It's so clearly phony. Their tactics, their methods are just as scary. With these indictments, they're charging Trump's attorneys, the people that he hired to help him question an election. Also, very unprecedented.
We're destroying rights, sacred rights. They're destroying my right to counsel, my right to be a lawyer. They're destroying his right to counsel. It's not accidental that they've indicted all his lawyers. Never heard of that before. In America, all the lawyers indicted. Now, whether you dislike or you like Donald Trump, let me give you a warning. They're going to come for you. When the political winds shift, as they always do, let us pray that Republicans are more honest, more trustworthy, and more American than these people in charge of this government.